meeting of the Lewiston Planning and Zoning Commission live. All right, welcome. Let's see, we're gonna call to order. That's what I just did, correct? Because I'm gonna be rusty until I resign this. I guess our first order of business is citizen comments. And for anyone interested in coming to the podium and providing those, this is an opportunity for citizens to address the commissions with comments and or questions about planning and zoning, commission-related matters that are not public hearing action items on our current agenda for tonight. And we do ask that citizens in general attempt to limit their time to 3 minutes each. If there's anything they are interested in sharing with us, and do we have any in the audience tonight? Any speakers in the audience? No? Nothing that came in through mail?
Nothing for this portion. But when we
Okay.
get to the public hearing, we do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we move next to agenda item of approval of January 24th, 2024 meeting minutes. And I want to make sure everybody had an opportunity. Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve those minutes as Dawn wrote them.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And none opposed. Our, yes, sir.
I did note my last name was misspelled on one portion of it, just to prove that I read through.
Oh, are you sure it's misspelled, or maybe you've just been doing it wrong?
No, it is.
I can see where.
It's fine. It doesn't matter.
It's already been brought in.
I know, it doesn't matter. It's already been moved and seconded. It's fine.
Oh, and voted on, so.
Yeah, so
I think that's propaganda.
Okay,
that's my unofficial, second, that's the unofficial planning and zoning member.
okay, so noted. Gabe's got a hard to spell last name. All right. Our next agenda item is,
You're fine. I'm sorry, I don't mean to derail the meeting.
public hearing and subsequent deliberation. So I believe, this particular one is, and I'm just at the age where these glasses are not my desk glasses. We are looking at the conditional use permit 24-1 as submitted by, Mr. Carlton, I believe, regarding the small lot development on the Carlton Hangar subdivision, and which is located on the east of 4th Street, north of Life Care Center at 325 Warner Drive, and south of Walker Hill Field. This is a currently zoned as low-density residential, R2. And small lot development, which is the request we're moving towards, it requires a conditional use permit. So there is why we are here tonight. Hearing process to the audience. Let me see if I can find my notes. I have it somewhere. So as I understand it, I believe the first rule is the first action is we have the city employees presenting the application in its entirety. No, I have to open a public hearing first, forgive me, is that correct? Where is my cheat sheet on this? So,
That's right.
It's on your agenda.
I'm looking at,
Read,
explain
I
it.
You just have to follow these, just read that
Yeah.
out loud.
Okay, so then we open the public hearing, we have, I did it backwards, staff presentation, applicant testimony and or presentation, testimony for the public, applicant rebuttal, if there is anything, and then moving forward, we will close the public hearing and the commission will deliberate on the application to discuss relevant criteria and standards and articulate reasons for or against our decision. So, moving forward, if there's no objections, let's open the public hearing on CUP 24-1? Yes, okay. Boom. And now it's you, Katie.
Alright, hearing time and PowerPoint, please. Get there, I can access it. Thanks, sir. Good evening, commissioners. Katie Hollingshead, assistant planner. Tonight we were talking about the Carlton Hangar small block development. This is CUP 24-1. So, like usual, we are going to. Sorry, technical difficulties. We're gonna look at some photos and some maps of our subject property. So, number one, so our subject property is approximately 8.8 acres that has been subdivided into 29 buildable lots. It is outlined in red with its CUP number on the map in front of you. So to the north is Walker Field, to the south is the Life Care Center, to the east is a residential neighborhood, and to the west is vacant land that I believe is still being farmed, maybe. Anyway. Same map, just with our zoning layer turned on. So that lighter blue color is our R2 low density residential zone. Surrounding area is R2A, which is also a low density residential zone, but it does allow for animal rights with the conditional use permit. And then Walker Field is zoned F2, which is our agricultural transitional zone. So some site photos. So like I said, this property has already been subdivided, so streets have been extended, curb gutter sidewalk already installed. So I'm standing at that farthest north portion, so I'm right at the edge of Walker Field. I am looking south, you can see sidewalk going along. I am on 4th Street, so subject property is on the right-hand side of me. Then pivoting, looking southwest across the subject property, you can see the looped road that has been installed on the interior. And then Life Care Center can be seen at the far end of the property. Walking farther down 4th, I'm now at the corner of 4th Street and Warner Ave. So this is where Warner Ave is extended into the subject property, and then will loop and become part of Park Drive going through the property. A little farther into the subdivision, so now I'm at the corner of Warner Ave and Park Drive. I'm looking north. You can see all my little goose friends over here. Got a lot of goose up there. So this is where the road kind of loops around, and you can see driveways have been installed, sidewalk is installed, etc. And then just pivoting, I'm just kind of making a circle like I normally do. So I've pivoted at that same intersection. I am now looking south. This is Life Care Center, where it will butt up to some of the lots. And then pivoted again, and I'm looking kind of across northeast-ish, we'll say. Again, looking across subject property, so these will be buildable lots. Again, at that same intersection. And then walking up, the road doesn't really intersect, it kind of just curves. So I'm at the top of Park Drive in the subdivision, looking north, so you can see Walker Field is across from me. And then looking east, again on that Park Drive, so on my right-hand side are some of those building lots, the Park Drive going on the left-hand side, and then you can see the residential neighborhood that exists farther east. And this is on the farthest end, so I'm at that intersection of Warner Ave and 4th, where you would cross the street to go to Life Care Center. I'm looking north along 4th, you can see where the ADA sidewalk portions have been put in, and then, the markers and whatnot along the subdivision. And then residential homes on the east side of 4th, and again, more residential homes kind of at the northeast corner of the property. And when we look, we can go back to the maps, but where that camper trailer is, that's actually a fourplex, not just single-family dwellings. So did want to point out that there are more than just single-family dwellings in the neighborhood. There are some pockets of small multifamily like this and some pockets of duplexes kind of spread farther out. And then in your packet, you were provided a copy of the subdivision plat. So I've highlighted all the squares that are called out for that small lot development. So they're highlighted here, and then again, they are part of the application itself. So this is the part that was actually supplied in the application, so you can see kind of those footprints of the duplexes that are being proposed under the small lot development standards. So the long list of words that you can't really read on the screen, but was included in your packet, is all of those standards. So things like the design standards, the wall versus window pane, street trees, change in color and material on the building, all of those pieces would be part of what would be required by the applicant if the CUP is approved. The other thing that would be allowed if the CUP is approved is that larger lot coverage, which is part of the reason why they are making this request. Lot coverage in the R2 zone is 40% of a lot. And in the small lot development standards, they can cover up to 60% of the lot. So it allows for a slightly larger building footprint. My understanding and the applicant, when he gets up, is they are looking to do 3-bedroom, 2-bath, attached, single-family dwellings, duplexes, on each of those lots, that cover more than 40% to allow for that third bedroom in those units. And then finally, for pictures, an elevation sketch of what those units look like. This is one is not in color, so it's a little harder to tell the change in color and material, but it's a little more legible in the ones that were provided in your packet, where it does call out the different colors and materials of the products used on the exterior of the home to meet those standards that are called out in the small lot development standards. So we're gonna go back to the beginning just to look at the property as a whole. So some things to note. Like I previously said, this is a subdivision that has been both reviewed and approved by this body and reviewed and approved by City Council. So those lot sizes have already been established. So the applicant is not necessarily looking to decrease the size of the lots to the smaller lot size that is allowed under small lot development. They're looking more at the lot coverage and then those design elements, a lot of which we see in planned unit developments that kind of help create that neighborhood feel, especially when it comes to having smaller lots or tighter quarters when it comes to the number of lots you have in a subdivision. The planning department really felt that having design criteria such as that would help increase the neighborhood feel of areas that were developed with those standards. So as part of this 29 lot subdivision, 17 of the lots are being requested to be included in the small lot development conditional use permit. Those were, like I said, called out specifically in the packets you guys were provided with and in the application. Each of them showing both which lots and what that coverage looks like with those 3-bedroom, 2-bath duplexes. So just as kind of a reminder, in the R2 zone for a duplex, you need 10,000 square feet. Each of those lots does meet that standard. In small lot development, it's 6,500, so much smaller. So these are still larger lots, just with a larger amount of lot coverage from the building itself. Surrounding neighborhood is that low density R2A, like I showed in the darker green color. A number of those properties are not actually large enough to enjoy animal rights, but some are. So that would be something to weigh, I guess. The subject property itself is not that R2A. They did go with just the R2 zoning, kind of knowing how large of lots they were looking to do with that subdivision. That zone change was done back in 2020. So again, was approved by this body and then by city council. Subject property, like I said before, has already installed its streets, so it does access Fourth on both of those extended streets that have been put in. So Warner Avenue and Park Drive. Both of those are considered local roads, while Fourth Street is designated as a collector road. There are no bus stops along this particular strip. The closest bus stop is down on Preston and Fifth, so a little bit away from the property. Like I said, 29 lots have already been platted, 17 are part of the request. The remaining 12 lots of the subdivision do meet the current standards of the R2 for a single-family dwelling, and my understanding is that is how they will be developed. Hope we covered all those things. Okay, with that, I would stand for questions. I gave you all my high points.
Yes, Kevin.
Okay, is this on the, where it's highlighted, which ones are the small lot development?
Yes.
So there's two really in the center, are those flag lots?
They are flag lots.
Okay, and that's allowed in the development?
Uh-huh.
And then, there's the two in green at the left.
Oh, that just has the footprint of the building, so that's more
okay.
similar to
Nope.
this one.
Cool.
With the footprint, we just asked the applicant, because we had the one that just had the two outlined, to outline it in all the lots that they wanted the small lot development, so.
I just wanna make sure
We're
that
looking at
one,
basically like number one and then the updated number two that had
Sure.
all of them called out.
okay. And then I know you mentioned animal rights, as far as the surrounding area, is there a potential for friction between the animal rights properties and this one?
I wouldn't think so. Like I said, a number of the lots that are surrounding the property aren't actually large enough, to support a large animal.
Sure, okay.
So I don't know that you would necessarily
I
see
know in the
a,
paperwork it talked about like to the north and west. East is definitely not, but,
yeah, so I mean, depending on what the property owner to the west decides to do, if and when they decide to do anything with their property.
okay,
It could have, I mean, it does currently have that opportunity to apply for animal rights through the CUP permit process, but that's usually done on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
But approving small lot development for this particular subdivision would not have a negative effect on the ability for other property owners to apply for a conditional use permit to do animal rights.
thank you.
So, Madam Chair, so piggybacking off that, are there no properties around it that have animal rights, like the adjacent neighborhoods?
Not immediately adjacent, no.
Okay.
There are properties much farther north of the subject property that I know do have animal rights and have gone through that CUP process,
Okay.
but they're quite a ways away.
Okay.
I mean, the closest property that could possibly is this one over in the corner that's directly across from Walker Field. That one is large enough. They could if they wanted to. I don't foresee those particular people doing that, but
Yeah, probably not. I know them. They probably won't.
I don't see that family doing
Yeah,
large
I
animals.
don't either.
Okay.
But that is one of the few properties that's like almost adjacent to the property that could apply for that, yes.
So just to get my head around it, the 12, when we talk about single family, so the 12 that are we talking single home, or are we still talking the duplex format?
Single home is my understanding.
Okay,
Because they're
so we're
not,
gonna,
those lots are not large enough to do the duplexes.
and are all those impacted, so essentially the 17 small unit, are all 17 planned to, if passed, incorporate a 3-bedroom, so a larger size footprint?
That is my understanding. We can verify that with the applicant, but that is my understanding.
Okay, and as such, what's the jump in square footage for the units if they go from a 2-bedroom up to a 3-bedroom? What's the jump in square footage, do we know?
Oh, that would be a question for the applicant.
Okay, I'll save it. Okay, thank you.
That one I don't know.
Any additional questions?
I've got one,
Mike?
Madam Chairman. So the city is right behind all this, you've done
I
everything?
mean, it meets all the pieces that we need it to meet. Yeah, we don't see any major problems. Like I said before, when the city rewrote the portion of code that addresses small lot development, we did so because developers were not using it as a tool and were instead going to plan unit development way instead. Because they were looking for things like smaller lots with larger houses on them. And so that was part of the reason why we incorporated design elements, street trees, things like that, that you normally will see in like a planned unit development rather than in just standard development. And incorporated those into small lot development to kind of buffer between those things like having the much smaller lot or the higher lot coverage. And honestly, based on like the phone calls that I get in the planning department, I feel like this body is probably going to see more requests like this, just because of the nature of the construction cycle, the sorts of housing types that people are wanting, the cost of housing. I think you're gonna be seeing people trying to get a little more creative with how they can serve the need.
Okay. And if I might add, one additional question, I see we've punched Warner through
Yes.
to the property edge with the expectation, and was that a required portion of the PUD development, that there would be a main access road that would eventually?
I think, so it would have been part of the subdivision for the road.
Okay, that's
to go
the
through.
question, yeah.
I imagine that the idea is they cut it off like that so that if and when the adjacent property owner sells, decides to develop whatever, that the ability to continue that road is available to increase the number of east-west connectors.
Thank you. Any additional? Okay, Katie, I think that's very thorough, thank you. And now we invite the applicant to the microphone. We ask them to state their name, or we already figured that one out?
Yes, it is.
All right, I will ask you to state your name and the location of your residence, not address.
Carlton, 1103 Brighton.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I know. I'm figuring
I
it out.
wasn't expecting to come back. We put in for a couple of permits and they met all the setbacks, so we didn't know this was part of the deal, but it is what it is. There's actually 14 lots. We actually did the subdivision. We put the roads in, sewer, water, everything. When we did it, I put 2 services, so every one of those, we always call them duplex lots because they're over 10,000 square feet. So each one of those lots is serviced by 1 irrigation line, 1 domestic line. So each one of those lots you see there have 2 separate services because they'll be sold as condos. We did quite a few of them over there on 10th and Cedar, 10th and Grill. I did some over on Burl. Those are rentals that I kept myself, but that was the original plan to sell them as condos. Had a phone call today, somebody wants one. We have a waiting list of 25 people that we just don't want to start calling people and say, here's what we got until we start building something. It's kind of the way it is, but I know people are anxious. We've been kind of dragging our feet. We have a lot of stuff going, but we're ready to go, and that's kind of the deal. We purposely did those lots 10,000 square feet to put duplexes on, And a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit is not what people are looking for. They want, I have the units on Burl, there's 6 single people living in a 2-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage unit. They love it. I mean, all the condos we sold, I think there's 2 people in each unit, you know. That's just what they want. So usually retired people, you know, that are buying them, so. And the other houses, they'll all be single level. I mean, we could go up. I had a builder call me and said, let's go up. I said, no, I'm not interested in going up or sticking no steps. That's what people want, so that's what.
You had started speaking and you stated you had 14 lots?
Well, there's not 17, there's only 14.
So are you not gonna do
That little weird bench?
Oh,
The 2
there's,
flag
the
lots.
2 flag lots?
Oh,
yeah, those are duplex lots. So my understanding, I had 14 duplex lots and 15 house lots. So I might have got off. But yeah, those 2 in the middle, the flag lots, I don't think those actually are big enough without, we just went for all of them just to make it easy. We're not planning on building any 2-story deals in there to fill up the lot. It's just too nice an area to mess up, you know, so that's kind of why I'm taking my time doing it right, so.
I just have a question. Jennifer Tangano, Assistant City Attorney. For the purposes of your CUP then, do you still want to be approved for up to 17 lots? Or do you want?
Yeah, if that's what the count is, I didn't realize, I guess the 2 in the middle I thought were already big enough for the.
They're big enough for the duplex footprint that we want to do, that we don't need a conditional use.
Yeah, we could still do, those lots are bigger, the ones in the center. So that's the reason they weren't
Oh.
listed on there.
okay.
So they have enough room to build the unit that we'd like to build. Yeah, so that's why those weren't included on there. It's only the ones that aren't big enough to put the unit that we've been building for 20 years.
Will that be the same for that kind of triangle
weird
shaped
shaped
one?
Yes.
Because those are the,
Those are probably the 3 we didn't add on because they were big enough to put on
Yes.
there.
because I just put all the ones that were over 10,000.
Over 10,000, yeah. Yeah, and those, I think we didn't put those on there because they were big enough to do what we wanted to do, so. I mean, we could leave those on there, but it really doesn't make a difference to us just because we'll build the same unit. We won't make them any bigger.
All right, Kevin?
Jennifer, do we need to do anything to make it square legally as far as, is there any wording that needs to be changed?
Well, we might as well just keep it the same if it's gonna, just keep it the same.
As long as it's not more than what was publicly noticed,
Yeah.
then it would
That
be
makes
fine.
sense.
Okay. Yeah,
If
the
it's
flag lots
less,
were a little bigger, the ones in the center, and, those, you know, we did the same thing with 2 meters, 2 irrigation, 2 domestic. I mean, you learn doing these, if
And
somebody's
having
gonna
the
complain
approval
about
doesn't mean
something.
they have to.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
somebody washed their driveway and they're paying for the water, you know, I mean, it's so, even the sprinkler clock on somebody's unit, I mean, a little clock uses $1 a year, you know, they're paying the power, so they're gonna be separate, you learn over the years.
If you get approved for 17 lots and need it later, then you have it, but if you
Yeah,
only
that's
get
fine.
14 and then need it later, you
Yeah.
have to go through the process.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine.
Questions?
Thanks, Steve.
Looking good.
Okay, got the applicant's testimony. So I believe the next phase of the public hearing is testimony from the public and support or against the application. And I guess we first go towards those at the meeting. Is anyone here to speak for or against this application? I'm gonna take that as a no. And Dawn, we have some through email or calls?
I have one, yep. So I have Robert Kessler and Geraldine Kessler from Warner Ave, Lewiston, Idaho. My wife and I are writing in opposition for the proposed conditional use application made by Steve Carlson for the Carlton Hangar subdivision. I initially supported his application to the city with the stipulation that all city requirements were met, including lot size and number of housing units. At first, after reviewing Mr. Carlson's land plots and family dwellings, I could see some benefit. Now that has changed. Our neighborhood is a traditional neighborhood comprised of primary owner-occupied homes on a traditional sized lots. I am afraid that if the conditional use application goes through, we will have a subdivision of tiny homes crammed into small lots, thus increasing the number of homes that could be built. More homes mean more traffic on a street that is already extremely narrow at points. We would be at the hearing to speak in person, but unfortunately I'm physically unable to do so. Please consider our letter in opposition to the conditional use application CUP 24-1 and keep the subdivision to its initial design. Thank you.
And that was the one and only?
That's the only one I got.
Okay, so we had a write-in on opposition. And Steve, did you want to take the opportunity to rebut, I guess is the formal word?
I know Bob, I've known him for years. We lived up the street. We grew up there. My mom still lives there. Nothing's changed from day one. It's always been exactly like that. And the only reason we're here is because we want to build the same size units we've been building, and not ease it up. I mean, it's just not, I'm not interested in doing that. I could have sold all those lots already and let everybody have at it and do what they want to do, but I'm not going to do that, so.
So for clarification, what you're saying is the original
It's-
PUD that the
it's-
Kesslers were comfortable with
It's
is
the
not adding
exact-
numbers.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing we came here 4 years ago. Nothing's changed. It's the exact same thing we're gonna do. We were always gonna do the same thing, but they meet the setbacks if we were across the road, so it's just not in the wrong, it's in the wrong district. So that's the reason we're here. We're not trying to change anything, we're just trying to do what's right, so.
Anne Marie?
I think if I understand the clarification for what probably was originally proposed and what you're wanting now, is the original proposal, it looks like, said that they were gonna be potentially 2-bedroom units, and you guys have
No,
upsized
there's
to 3.
never-
They were always a
never-
3-bedroom unit?
Never a 2-bedroom unit.
Okay.
Yeah, these are the same units I built for 20
Okay.
years, exact same units.
So I believe the primary concern and the reason he's in front of this board is the 3-bedroom unit will require slightly larger square footage of the units, which then will exceed the 40% of the allowed lot.
We're talking 150 square feet a bedroom, you
Yes.
know? So it's not like Mitch Dempke built over by Early Bird. I think that's what, it sounds like the small lot development. It's not a bunch of little tiny homes, it's regular sized homes in a nice setting. I mean, it's not anything like tiny homes.
So my impression is that basically you have 14 duplexes planned, and then the other 15 are gonna be single-family homes, and so that has always been the plan, and that's,
Been the plan since day one. And actually, it's only gonna be 13 duplexes because I bought the land from some people that they got their pick of their lot, they picked their lot and they want a duplex lot. And I think they're gonna build a single family, so.
Madam Chair, just to clarify for the commission, when subdivisions come in front of this body, they do not normally include a house plan. It's just the division of land. And so his division of land has always included lots that were large enough for duplexes. Now, whether or not the person owning that lot builds a duplex or not is up to the person owning the lot. But the subdivision always included those lots that met that standard for a subdivision to be built. And then second point of just clarification is the setbacks in the R2 are the same as the setbacks in the R2A. It's a 20-foot front, 20-foot rear, 15 combined side with 5 on one side and 10 on the other side. The lot coverage is 40% in either of those zones. The lot coverage is the problem that the applicant is running into with the size of building that he's wanting to do. And you can see in the packet on this page, it has on the bottom, it shows each of the addresses of each of those lots and what the lot area is of the lot itself, so all of those are listed as 10,000 plus, which would all allow for that duplex, right? And then the residence footprint, so that's the square footage of the home and the attached garage. And then it shows percent coverage, so they're over that 40% that's allowed by the residential zone that it's currently in. So that is part of the reason we were going through the conditional use permit process, is because small lot development, while yes, one aspect of that is smaller lots, the other aspect of that is you can cover more of the lot with buildings. So that would allow for that higher percent of lot coverage to accommodate the size of building that the applicant is looking to build.
And I think that's the misconception about the small lot deal is more houses, and maybe that's what Bob's thinking. But I think that's part of it, is the lots are always been the same size. It's just that we can't put the same size unit on those lots we could somewhere else, so nothing's changed. It's always been the same deal.
Jennifer?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to make one more point of clarification. This is a subdivision and not a planned unit development. It used to previously be a planned unit development that was then rezoned to the R2. So planned unit development is a term of art and it implies a contracted development plan. Whereas this is just general land use, subdivision, and planning. There's nothing that implies any kind of contractual requirements. Just for the record.
We could have put more lots on there. If you look at it the other way, we could have put more lots on there, shrunk those lots down. But we wanted to do the duplexes, the condos. I mean, that's what we've been doing. So that's why we did that. I mean, we could have put more lots on there and we wouldn't have to be here. I mean, that, and could have added more lots, more houses. I mean, so it's not changing anything, still been the same amount of lots and same amount of places, but it's just putting a 3-bedroom versus a 2-bedroom. It's kind of all it matters.
And Steve, just for my own understanding, so the previous landowner plans to live within this neighborhood.
Yep.
And as such had their selection of lot, and you say, well, they get to put on it what they choose to, but for what we're talking here now and as you've designed it and laid it out, your company will be building the duplexes as they stand, and the only individual single-family homes that will be going on are in those,
The ones that aren't.
the unmarked,
Yeah.
yes, and then, okay.
And we
and as
just
long-
laid those out just to show what would work on those
Yes.
lots. Those, there's no plans drawn, that's just the footprint of what that house could be.
And those are sold before the build.
I've got guys waiting in line calling me, builders wanting lots, and I, like, sorry.
Okay.
I'm not doing that.
Okay.
It's just, piece of ground like this doesn't come up very often, for one. And originally, that it was in that planned unit development, they were gonna put offices and all kinds of stuff in there. And that didn't work. They've had that ground since the 70s, and so, that wasn't ever planned to do what we're doing here.
Okay, then that,
That's why we had it rezoned. Originally, they had zoned that a planned unit development because they were gonna do offices and stuff. And, it just didn't work out for them. They wanted to do a bunch of stuff and they didn't wanna do, and so they just sat on it. I mean, it was a horse pasture for 40 years.
okay, so the original planned unit development was not an application on your part and has been subsequently sold to you?
Yes.
Okay, and then you rezoned?
That was the first thing they asked me is, what are you gonna do with it? I said, build houses and condos just like I'm doing right now.
Okay,
He says, okay, part of the deal is we get to pick our first lot and you gotta build us a house. I said, okay. So
okay,
that's where we're at.
thank you for the clarification. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Barring any further questions, which I believe we've just confirmed there are none, we are going to go ahead and close the public hearing and begin the criteria discussion and deliberation, thank you, formal word. All right, we are now closed, public hearing.
I'm the word guy.
Hmm?
I'm the word guy.
Oh, you're the, thank you. I get there, but it's not necessarily the words. Okay, so I printed off the criteria because that's what I need to do. I believe we have 6 specific.
Yes.
And we'll do as we did the last meeting, which is essentially kind of asking you to weigh in. So the first criteria to discuss is the proposed use will or will not result in conditions that will tend to generate nuisances such as noise, dust, glare, vibration, and odors. Or, if so, any anticipated nuisances will be appropriately mitigated. So I'm gonna start with you, Mo.
I would say that the proposed use will not result in conditions that will tend to generate nuisances. I think that you can already see the streets laid out. Part of it's just experience with Mr. Carlton's developments that he has done. They tend to be very well done. They are very cohesive to the traffic. Just in looking at the plan, it obviously is designed to be a functional neighborhood with, the space needed. And I think it actually fits in well with the surrounding neighborhood.
Thank you. Okay.
I agree with Mo. I'll also say that the level of detail that's been provided in the packet, which I think was said that is not required, also is indicative of the applicant and how they're going to build and how they will mitigate any nuisances if there are any. But there's nothing in this packet that makes me think that it will generate any nuisances.
Thank you. Michael?
I'm also agreeing that the proposal will not result in any conditions that tend to be nuisances. Just the fact that Mr. Carlton came here today for the conditional use permit to mitigate any kind of problems that might anticipatedly come up.
Thank you. Kevin?
I like that.
I'll have to agree.
Okay, and I will also agree it will not, primarily due to the fact that it is actually expanding the draw to family, which is the intention of the development, by providing additional bedroom, which is more appealing to a family who is shopping for a home. Okay, so that was a will not. Second criteria and standards. The proposed use is or is not a public necessity but is or is not, that's terrible, justified by the applicant and deemed to be of a benefit to the public. All right, Kev?
I'm gonna have to say that, the use is, a public necessity and is justified by the applicant and deemed to benefit of the public. Like the applicant said, he's got people calling him all day looking to, housing is short and we need more of it.
I'm gonna say that also the proposed use is a necessity and is justified because of our housing shortage. You know, we need more houses. Can't grow to be a larger city if you don't have enough houses for people to live in.
Yeah, I'll agree with both of what, I'll agree with both what Mike and Kevin have said, and the applicant is giving potential customers what they want. So there's that aspect of it as well.
All right, and Mo?
Well, and the other thing, I agree 100%. The other thing I would add to it is the location of it. I mean, that's a really nice, centrally located for people who are going to be working in the immediate area. We have so much of our growth right now is being pushed out to the far side, east of the orchards out there, which is quite the commute. And I think having additional housing where lengthy commute is not necessary is of huge benefit.
Okay, and I too agree that the proposed use is a public necessity and is justified by the applicant and deemed to be a benefit of the public. And I would say I would lean into the fact that he has already not only established other developments such as this one is, so has an experience and a knowledge of the Lewiston demand, but also that he has been contacted repeatedly by people desperately seeking lots to develop single-family homes. So I believe he is meeting that need. Thank you. And all right, our third one. The character of the proposed use, if developed according to the plan as submitted, will or will not be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located. All right, Mo, we're just zigzagging.
I would say that the character of the proposed use, if developed according to the plan as submitted, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located. Like I stated previously, I think it'll cohesively blend into the neighborhood. I think the combination of dual family and single family homes that's prevalent throughout our community. We see lots of neighborhoods that have that same design. And so I think it absolutely goes along with everything we currently have going.
Yeah, I'll echo what Mo said, in terms of it going along with the community, in terms of there being a mix of single-family homes and then duplexes and maybe a couple other little scattered throughout the adjacent neighborhoods. But I'll also add, in terms of that it's already cohesive in neighborhood in terms of that there's already sidewalk there, and not every neighborhood in that area definitely has sidewalk. So it is designed to be in harmony with the area, just from that perspective, without any homes on it, so.
Thank you. Michael?
I agree, for the character of this neighborhood, it will be in harmony. And I liked Katie's neighborhood feel idea. That was really, kind of said it all.
Kevin?
I would have to say, that it will, efficient use of the existing land, and it, is a nice infill that we need.
Okay. And my personal perspective is not just harmony to match the existing, but actually to lean into a higher quality of neighborhood and leading the way to neighborhood improvement. And it will draw the kind of people that really want to live in that quality of a development, which then hopefully will draw families who, professional and, make themselves permanent residents of our community. So I'm gonna definitely lean into that one, thank you. Do you have enough on that, Jennifer? Just wanted to
Jed's like, this is great.
Touch base. So our fourth criteria, the proposed use will or will not endanger the environment or the public health and safety. And I'm gonna just lead off with that one and say my only primary concern, and it is not endangering the community, is that we don't have a designated bus stop in that area. And I think that would be something I would hope the district gives thought to in the future. But that, at this time, I do not think it is a safety concern. All right, Kevin.
Can you say that a little bit louder? I don't think the record heard you on that one.
Okay, the record is the only potential safety concern that I can foresee would be the lack of a school bus stop for the children that will soon populate this residential community.
So will it or will it not?
No, that's my take. We're still gonna, but it will not, hopefully. I don't think it will, so I'm gonna go with will not, but that's my personal opinion. Kevin?
I'm gonna agree with the will not.
Okay. Michael?
I'm gonna go with the will not, because sidewalks are in place. A lot of public safety has already been built into the deal, and I'm pretty sure those school buses will find a nice, safe spot to pull over and pick up those litters.
Gabe?
I'll go with the will not endanger the environment and public health or safety. I think some of this has been echoed in prior points so far. Relevant criteria of just the detail, the plan the applicant has put in, the fact that they've already got sidewalks in place. And based just on the applicant's record in building other developments in town. So I don't think there's any I don't think there's any chance of the environment being endangered.
Excellent. Mo?
And I'll agree, I'll especially agree with Mike. I think that once that development is in place and there are school children present, I would definitely foresee them putting a school bus stop there if necessary. Although I would, of course, they'll map it out, the distance, because I'm assuming they'd be McGee.
That across Brighton or?
It's cross border, not right.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Are they gonna be shooting across Brighton or is the school
No, will not.
to the
Yeah.
east? It's down the east. Okay, thank you, because I wasn't.
Yeah, it's on.
Oh, yeah, not
Then,
right.
then I will,
It'll be
I will retract my concern about school bus stopping.
It'll be Fifth,
So,
Yeah, they do have to cross Fifth Street though.
yeah,
But there is a light there.
Yeah, there definitely is a flash.
Fifth and Warner, yep.
Yeah.
okay, so currently, as the streets are laid out and where the schools are, it will not.
Build character.
Thank you. Build
Will.
character. Will not. All right, number 5, the proposed use will or will not be in substantial conformance with the comprehensive plan. Mo?
I would say that it will be in substantial conformance with the comprehensive plan. I think the comprehensive plan very clearly states out that we have the need for family housing. And I think that this provides lots of opportunity. I mean, by my count, I'm looking at, I think, 43 units, 42 to 43 units cumulative total. And that's huge. That's huge for this community. And like I said previously, I think especially with the location, having it kind of centrally located for working families rather than being at the far end of the orchards is even more beneficial.
Excellent. Gabe?
Yeah, I'll echo what Mo said, just not in terms of the need for housing, but also just the variety of housing. And this development has multiple types of housing that will fit multiple individuals who are looking for different things, and it's all within one development. So it is an efficient use of land, which is another thing that our comprehensive plan calls for. So definitely think it fits.
Excellent. Michael?
I'm in that same belief that this will be in more than substantial. I'm trying to think of a word that's better than substantial, but meeting the city standards, got the zone change, got the conditional use permit, the R2 zone, and it's already been approved. I don't see any reason why that should be anything but will be substantial conformance.
I'm gonna have to agree with the will, be in conformance with the comprehensive plan. The one we have and the one we're gonna have, the future one, I always lean on the infill that we're providing, so.
My opinion also was addressing the comprehensive plan, not only of mixed availability, duplexes, single-family homes. All the hard work as far as setting it up has been clearly established. And infill, again, we're not sprawling. So that's a proposed use will be in substantial conformance. Number 6, pursuant to Idaho Code 676512, the conditional use permit may be granted subject to the ability of the political subdivisions, including school districts, to provide services for the proposed use. Who wants to go first? Anyone?
So I don't think any political subdivisions or entities had any objections to it. So,
No.
and we know that they get notice, so.
All right, with no objections by any of the service providers in mention, that essentially meets all the criteria. This application meets all the criteria, so thank you.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion.
I just wanna make sure that you include in your motion the requirement of section 3733 that the applicant abide by all those standards for small lot development.
Okay. You just made it way
That's why
more
you're here.
complicated, didn't you?
Do you wanna see the proposed motion language?
Absolutely, if you've got it. More technical than I anticipated.
She didn't need that to us.
Yeah, I don't know if that was.
We're free range tonight.
Oh, okay, so it technically isn't a public hearing, so.
Okay,
It's right.
Oh, yeah, there it is, sorry.
I've got it right there.
I
So
went off
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to direct staff to draft the reason statement approving CUP 24-1 with the following conditions, that they go ahead and make sure that they follow the requirements of section 37-33 of city codes for the standards for small lot development.
I will second that.
We have a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? I believe it passes. So, does this now move forward? We direct city staff to draft the reason statement approving CUP 24-1.
You just did
We
that.
That was one.
Then I don't have to worry about this.
Not
So,
anymore.
thank you.
No, we're done with that one.
We're done with that one. Well, congratulations.
We'll see.
Only one thing I might add.
Uh-oh. Well, I believe we've,
There was quite a bit of discussion on the school bus stop.
Yeah.
There's a school bus stop right in front of the little building that's there.
then never
Kids are
mind.
there every morning.
Yeah, the comment about the bus stop was that the
City
city
bus
does
stop.
not
No,
have.
city.
Oh, yeah.
School bus stop.
Oh, well, thanks for the clarification.
No, I appreciate the, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Those buses stop wherever it is.
I don't, it's been a year or two since I rode a school bus. Yes, sir. Okay.
Here, eh?
So,
Ready to go.
we are ready to go on the, somebody wants to go home. We are ready to go on our second, and last public, no, is this a public hearing? No,
No.
it's not. So, we are moving to preliminary approval of a preliminary plat of Glassfell Edition. This is an action item, and, the Glassfell Edition preliminary plat is approximately 2.82 acres of property located between Airway Avenue and Bryden. And we are going to, but this is not a public hearing. We are going to have a staff presentation and we are going to deliberate. Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess we're moving forward. So, please. Present away, sir.
Commissioners, good evening. Mark Wiggins, City Surveyor here with the staff report for the Glassfell Edition preliminary plat. Please forgive the mask. I've been feeling a little under the weather recently, and I kind of thought it would be appropriate precaution under the circumstances. So why don't we start out with an aerial of the property. The preliminary plat of the Glassfell Edition proposes to subdivide approximately 2.82 acres of property located in the 1800 block of Airway Avenue into 2 lots. An existing single-family residence and several accessory buildings also occupy the site. The proposed subdivision also abuts on an undeveloped section of Bryden Avenue on the north. So that's this piece up here, so that one obviously Airway down there, and this is actually that undeveloped Bryden up here. So the proposed subdivision is located at the north edge of the older Orchards Tracts. So these down here, these are actually Orchards Tracts lots, but haven't been developed or are just beginning to get developed. These are Orchards Tract lots that you hear about that have been developed in the past. Just north of the undeveloped Bryden Avenue right away, you can see the south end of the estates at Canyon Crest. So that's these higher development areas up here. You can also see Lindsay Creek up here at the northeast corner of the map. So that's kind of gives you a little bit of a frame of reference there. So on to a ground photo. Here we have a photo of the site looking northerly. The photo was taken from Airway Avenue on the south side, looking northerly. As you can see, the property is open and gently sloping. I mean, other than the residences and everything that are on it, obviously. But in the background, you can see the homes in the estates at Canyon Crest. That's these homes back here, if you can see my pointer. Then I'll go to the other side of the property. There we go. So this kind of gives you an idea. Up on the front, it is, like I said, existing residence, and the existing accessory buildings in the back, it's the open and gently sloping. The photo shows the existing structures identified up here on the aerial photo, and this is actually a new shop that the applicants are building at this time. The people who purchased this property are developing it. They just purchased the property and are splitting it up and building a new shop on it. So they kind of got several irons in the fire at the moment. Move on to the plat. This is a copy of the preliminary plat. On the preliminary plat, we can see the proposed configuration of the two lots. So one up here and two down here, including a fire access turnaround constructed in conformance with the fire department standard operating procedure number 906. The depth of the development and the length of the required fire access road makes the turnaround a necessity. Airway Avenue on the south side of the subdivision is currently in use, on that aerial, and will only require the applicant to satisfy frontage improvements along the proposed subdivision. Bryden Avenue along the north side of the proposed development is currently undeveloped. In order to provide sanitary sewer service for the proposed lots, the applicant will be required to extend the sanitary sewer along Bryden Avenue. So we do have an existing piece of sanitary sewer in this section that was done previously as part of this adjacent subdivision. That is that Cahill subdivision that some of you may have been involved in approving here a couple years ago. So there is a piece of city sewer there. This current developer will be required to extend it slightly in order to provide sewer service for their lots. So the applicant will be required to extend the sanitary sewer along Bryden Avenue, but because there is currently no connecting sections of Bryden Avenue roadway constructed, the developer is being asked to sign a postponement agreement for Bryden Avenue frontage improvements, so they won't actually be asked to do any of the roadway improvements because it would be a road to nowhere. Current zoning of the development area is R1, and the proposed Lot 2 adheres to the minimum requirements for lots in that zone. Lot 1 is configured as a flag lot and complies with the requirements contained within Section 37-124 of City Code for flag lot development. Proposed subdivision is located in the Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District, and they will provide the potable water for the development. And the city of Lewiston will provide the sanitary sewer service. As I explained, they're having to extend that city sewer main. Municipal utilities, CenturyLink Lumen and Sparklight have also confirmed their intent to provide utility service. The city attorney's office recently notified us that even though the preliminary plats are not required to have public hearings, that they should have an accompanying reason statement. Your plat packet should contain a copy of the reason statement suggested by the city attorney's office with applicable information pulled from my written staff report in this live presentation for your review if you would like to use that. The preliminary plat complies with the applicable requirements of the City of Lewiston Subdivision Ordinance, City Code Chapter 32. City staff recommends that the Lewiston Planning and Zoning Commission recommend to the Lewiston City Council approval of the preliminary plat of the Glasspool Edition preliminary plat as presented. And this concludes my staff report, and I'm available for any questions.
I I actually have one. I need a little bit of a refresher. I remember there was some, I believe you said it was the Cahill. This
Correct.
body actually had, was it the request was made, and I'm gonna get it wrong, but it was about the city release the extension portion of the undeveloped part of Bryden? Was
There-
it,
There is actually a separate action going on right now that is theoretically, most of the landowners in the area have signed off on a request for a vacation of Bryden Avenue. That technically is not part of this document or this action. We are working through that. There was a preliminary plat approved for Dan Young for Canyon Crest South, the area to the east, or to the west.
this way?
Correct.
Okay.
As part of that, because of the requirements of city code, he was required to, as part of his plat, create an alternate for Bryden Avenue and connect back into it. So at the moment, that's kind of where we sit, I guess you'd say legally, that Bryden Avenue is kind of by condition imposed by the city council, still intending to be constructed. But as I said, some of the other landowners have asked that we explore vacating Bryden Avenue. So that is going on, but it's something that's not gonna be settled until after this has already taken place.
My understanding is it is just going to be that little section that is above block 3 and 4 with an alternate routing that's going to connect in, and that the other end of Bryden Avenue, that even though it doesn't exist yet, that's going to be above lot 1 is going to continue.
The current subdivision plat that was approved for Mr. Young will vacate this portion,
Yeah.
like you said, north of this 3 and 4. And an alternate street will then come across just one lot to the south and tie back into Bryden Avenue. The additional request that we've had is to vacate the entire Bryden Avenue. Now, there is difficulties with that because there are things within city code that are gonna make that difficult at this point. So we're gonna have to work through that if that's something that's gonna happen.
So for my clarity, and maybe it's just sheer ignorance or confusion on my part, when we say vacate, we're talking about basically giving up property, correct? Or like a right of way?
Correct, yep.
Okay.
A vacation is essentially, the assumption is when a plat was originally created, the property for the roads were taken from the adjacent landowners to create the roadway. If the road's not needed, the state has provided an action to vacate that, and the idea is that it goes back to those adjacent landowners. So yes, it essentially takes property that has been dedicated to the public and gives it back to private landowners.
But for further clarity on that vacation request, one thing that was prohibiting it was the sewer lines.
That will be one of the things that will have to be addressed. Because the city has utilities in it, most likely a full vacation is not possible. So that will be, like I said, one of the things that will have to be addressed. Another is the fact that this piece of street is actually shown on the master transportation plan that was adopted by the city council. So that's gonna be another thing that's gonna have to be addressed, so.
So with specific eye on the Glassfell addition, knowing that we are in an unsettled state with respect to the undeveloped length of Bryden, at this time, the Glassfell addition preliminary plat only has traffic coming in off of whatever airway.
Correct.
Yes. But will tie sewer to the primary line that runs Bryden Avenue.
Correct. And as I said, then the Public Works Department is asking that they sign a postponement agreement. A postponement agreement is an agreement that if at any time in the future, a local improvement district is implemented by the city council, that they will then be automatically in agreement with participating in the local improvement district. So if that road ever does get built, they will basically be required to participate as long as the city council enacts that local improvement district.
Meaning sidewalks and all that additional stuff.
Correct.
So,
Every local improvement district actually has its own kind of set of rules of what each individual landowner is required to contribute, but yes.
Okay, any other questions?
I recommend, I'd like to make a motion. I'm sorry.
After this packet was put together, it was noticed that the proposed reason statement on page 5 contains the wrong notice to applicant language. So I would recommend that any proposed motion to approve the reason statement do so with the amendment that the notice to applicant be changed to the notice that indicates that it is not a final decision and any potential appeal process would not be applicable until after the city council has rendered its decision.
Okay, I will try again, Madam Chair.
That's fine.
I'd like to make a motion that we recommend to the city council the approval of this Gladspell addition preliminary plat with the amendment that is a notice to the applicant that this can be changed and it's not a final approval. Did I say that?
That it's not a final decision until after it's
the
been
city
decided
council.
by the city council.
So that's my motion.
Excellent, do I have a second?
Second that.
All in favor of planning and zoning approval, recommendation of approval, there we go, of the Glasspell addition preliminary plat, that's a tough one, say aye,
Well, with the
Nope.
addition of the amendment.
yes, as amended.
Aye.
Positive, yes?
Aye.
I will join in, no opposed. And so we, as Michael stated, have voted to approve the reason statement with the amendment recommended by Jennifer and move it forward to the city council. Okay, I think that was our last business, so now we move on to staff commission communications.
So query of commissioners to attend our February 28th meeting. It's gonna be a little different. Both Joel and I will be unable to attend, so it'll be the Dawn and Jennifer show. But you will just be doing minutes and then that reason statement for tonight's public hearing. So it shouldn't be too in faith.
Will we have our brand new commissioner?
We will have a brand new commissioner. Her name is Emily Wolf, and she will be joining. We do have one more commission appointment. Mr. Michael has decided not to continue for another term.
I've decided that, I know.
We're gonna have a hazing.
But hopefully I've left the door
The new
open or the
commissioner?
bridge still built, maybe if it's possible I could come back.
Right, there's always that possibility. So question for you, Mike, will you be in attendance at the March 13th meeting?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So that'll be your last meeting. We will have a little present for you. And then at the March 13th meeting, we do already have 2 public hearings scheduled, so just FYI for that one. That one's gonna be some fun.
Oh,
I don't like the sound of that.
I don't either.
No, it's just that we have 2 public hearings, so.
That just, that had an ominous tone.
They are not.
It's okay, we can do it.
All right, And
And I think that that's all. So yes, new commissioner at the next meeting, and then
Oh, we do have the interview on Friday for a potential replacement.
for Mike, yes.
For Mike,
Yeah.
Yes, so then we do have an interview for a second possible new
Well,
commissioner.
that's true.
I don't know. No, that person, if that person was recommended to council, they would not be on and up and going by the 13th, so they would probably start the following meeting, the second meeting in March. So yes, so that's, I think that's all I have. Oh, and then we did talk to the comprehensive plan consultants, steering committee is going to be getting draft copy of the plan to start reviewing and going through the action items, action and objectives that are tied to that. And then this body will probably hold a work session in April, and then a public hearing. That's all I have for it.
A reminder, tomorrow is the Title 74 training, so there's a session in the morning from 9 to 12 and another one in the afternoon, I think from 1 to 4. And so be sure to stop by if you'd like. The new planning and zoning commissioner will be at one of those, I believe the afternoon one too.
if there is nothing else, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So,
I'll second that.
All in favor?
aye.
All right, we are done with today's planning and zoning.